In this video, we'll go through the Year 7 probability test preview. I'll put some links in the description below so you can skip to question numbers and types. We'll start with question 1, and we are trying to list sample spaces. So this is a bit of an odd question, but if you're listing the sample space that you might choose one letter from the word trunk, then literally you might choose the letter T, R, U, N, or K. Similarly, in the second one, if you are listing the sample space that you are going to pick a weekday, then you might, as you would expect, pick the days Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Remember that Saturday and Sunday are weekend days, so in this question it's asking you just for the weekdays. You might notice as well that I'm putting these in brackets. Make sure you do that. There's a few rules when it comes to probability about how you format your answers. Let's have a look at question C. Selecting one letter from the word pump. You have to be careful. Look at this. P happens twice. So you might choose a P, you might choose a U, and you might choose an M, but we don't list the second P. And what is the sample space of selecting a one-digit number? Don't forget that 0 is a legitimate number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Anything beyond that is at least a two-digit number. Okay, a die is rolled. And we're moving into question 2 here. What is the probability of rolling a 7? Unless they specify, let's just assume we're rolling a 6-sided die here. Now, if you roll a dice, you're going to get the numbers 1 to 6, so there's no chance of you rolling a 7. So it will be a 0 out of 6 possible outcomes. So we express these as fractions, okay? And so your top number is how many times that might occur, and the denominator, the bottom number, is how many possible outcomes there are. So let's have a look at the second one, okay? We've got a 2, a 3, or a 4. So there's 3 possible outcomes out of 6 possible outcomes because the dice has got 6 sides. And if you can simplify this fraction, you should do that. So that is equivalent to a half. So we did fractions a few units ago, but 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 twice, so it can simplify to a half. Right, what is the chance of not rolling a 4? So read your questions carefully. 4 is one of the 6 possible outcomes. So rolling a 1, a 2, a 3, a 5, or a 6 represents 5 of 6 possible outcomes. All right, question 3. If I select one letter from the word caravan, find the probability that the letter is A. Let's have a look at it. If you have a look at this, we've got 1, 2, 3 letters up there to spell caravan, and you've got 7 letters altogether, so that would represent a 3 in 7 chance. What about a vowel? Let's go through and find all our vowels. Got a vowel, got a vowel, got a vowel. So it's looking the same again. We've got 3 out of 7 possible outcomes. What about a letter that is not an R? Let's have a quick look up here. We've got 1 R there, so that leaves us 6 possible answers that aren't an R. So let's just have a quick look at the sample space. That means that I could have done a C, an A, a V, an A, or an N. So that's where I'm getting that 6 from, okay? Let's move on to question 4. I'd like to ask you questions about spinners in probability, so you'll see lots of questions about these. The first question there, 4A, is asking you to list all of the possibilities, so the sample space, and so you might spin anything from an A through to a H. So we list those out. And then question B is written differently, but what that means is what's the probability of spinning an A. And so there's only one A there, so we know that it's a 1 in, and then there are 8 possible outcomes that the spinner could land on. So the answer is 1/8. What about the probability of a vowel? So we've got an A and we've got an E among our letters. That means that we've got a 2 in 8 chance, which we know we need to simplify if we can, so we'll make that one a quarter. Now, what is the probability of an A or a consonant? I think the clearest way to have a look at this is if we add fractions. So let's have a look at A first. Remember that represented one of the 8 possible outcomes. And a consonant is everything else except for the E. So really this one here is the only outcome that we want to dismiss. So we've also got another 6 of 8 possible outcomes. So that takes care of B, C, D, F, G, and H. And so that means that if I've got 1/8 and another 6/8, I've got a probability of 7/8 altogether. Question 5 is getting us to have a look at numerical probabilities, and then it's asking us to match up the best description for them. Now, before we even start this one, probability works a little bit differently on a number line to everything else. Normally, number lines have got arrows on each end because they go on forever, but probability number lines do not. They start at 0 and they go up to 1, okay? And what that means is that you've got absolutely no chance of this happening, and you've got a 100% chance of it happening if it's a 1. And then, as you'd expect, you've got everything in between. You might have a half, which we also know is 50%. And then you might have anything in that number line around it. So what we're going to need to do here is we're going to have to tackle this question carefully. I can see straight away the first one is, what's the probability of A if it's nothing? Well, that's impossible, isn't it? Because there's no chance of that happening. That's sitting here. Okay, so that's A. Then we've got the probability of M being 1. And so we said that that meant that it was definitely going to happen. So another word for that is certain. And then as I scour down the list, I've got 0.87. And I remember from when I did my decimals to fractions and percentages unit, that's quite likely. I think that's around 87%. I've got 2%. That's probably not very much. But let's just go with one that we feel we're very confident with. The bottom one there, the probability of B being 50% or half, that means equally likely. So that's going to happen here. And then we can see the other two are very likely and very unlikely. 2% is not very big, is it? So let's make that very unlikely. That's going to be way down here somewhere. So that one would be T. And the probability of K is very likely. 87% is quite a lot. So that's going to be way up here somewhere. You don't need to draw it on a number line. I've just done that to sort of try and help you guys visualize it a bit. Let's move on to question 6. Question 6, we've got a toy box that's got cars, trains, boats, and planes in it. If one toy is selected at random, the probabilities are as follows, and they give us some probabilities of us pulling out each of these items here. But what we don't know is the probability of selecting a plane. So what we've got so far is we've got the probability of a car, which is 0.25. If we add that to the probability of a train, 0.3, and the probability of a boat is 0.15, we've also got the unknown probability of the plane, okay? Now, to solve this, we know that if we add all of these together, we'll end up with 1. Because if we've got 1, we've got 100%, or we've got all of those toys in the box. Now, for those of you guys who managed to get your heads around the balance method, you can use the balance method to solve this one. Otherwise, if I just take these other values away from 1, I'll be left with the probability of the plane. So that looks like this. 1 minus 0.25 minus 0.3 minus 0.15 is going to be the value of the plane. And what we're left with, if we put that into a calculator, is 0.3. So the most correct way of answering this question is that the probability of pulling out a plane is going to be 0.3, which we also know is 30%. All right, if there are 400 toys in the box, how many of them are cars? Go back up here and have a look at the probability of the cars. The way to work this out is that you take the 400 and you multiply it by 0.25. You've got about a 25, well, you've got exactly a 25% chance of pulling out a car. But to work this out mathematically, what you do is you take the decimal as the probability and you multiply it by the total amount, and that will give you 100. So there are 100 cars in the box. Now we need to design a spinner with the numbers 1 to 4 on the face so that we've got the following list of probabilities. It's not going to be quite as simple as just chopping it into quarters, is it? So let's have a look at how we can break this down a little bit more and we can get this working nicely in our favour. What we'll do is we'll attack this section by section. So let's start with the number 1. The probability of spinning 1 is a 1 in 2 chance. So straight away, let's just chop this in half. This is the center of our spinner, by the way. Okay, so that means that all of this part represents 1. What about the probability of spinning a 2? It says that it's only an 1/8. So what we would have had to have done is we would have had to have divided this up into 8 equal parts, like this, okay? So the blue lines that I'm putting on here are my answers. So I can see here that one of those 8s represents 2. So that's this one here, okay? And similarly, look at this. The probability of 3 is also an 1/8. So comes 3, our spinner. And that just leaves the probability of 4. Now, we might have 2 possible answers here, I think, because we can see really clearly from the picture that we're drawing that we've got a quarter of this left. But if you need to do this mathematically, what we can do is we can say if we take the whole spinner and we take away the half that represents 1, and we take away the 1/8 that represents 2, we take away the 1/8 that represents 3, we'll be left with 1/4, or 2/8. So one potential answer for this is that this entire quarter here is all 4, or you might choose to answer this question by dividing this one into half and making both of these 8s a 4. So either of those answers have got you your marks. Let's start question 8. There is 5 numbers here, and they're telling me that I can use these numbers to make 2-digit numbers. And then it wants me to find probabilities of what the outcomes will be. There's a couple of ways of doing this, but a nice simple way is let's create a sample space. Let's have a look at all the possible outcomes that we could make. We could make 45, 46, 47, 48, and then we jump, 48, and then we jump to the 50s. I'll keep going. So here they all are listed. You might want to pause me and write these down. But all I'm doing is I've generated all of the possible combinations of 2 numbers there. So there are 20 numbers that we could have generated all together. Now let's jump into our questions and see if we can answer them. What is the probability that that number is odd? Let's go through and find them. That one's odd. That one's odd. That one's odd. That one. that one, that one, that one, and that one. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 out of 20. So 8 of the 20 possible outcomes were odd. And also importantly, we need to simplify that fraction. So 4 will go into 8 2 times, and 4 will go into 25 times. So the answer is 2/5. Okay, what is the probability that it is greater than 50? Let's change colors and we'll go for that. So that's all of these numbers, isn't it? So that means that 16 of the 20 possible outcomes are greater than 20. And if we have a look at that, 4 will go into 16 4 times, 4 will go into 25 times, so our final answer is 4/5.